There's no such thing as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A hurried mind is an addled mind. It cannot see clearly or hear precisely. It sees what it wants to see, or it hears what it is afraid to hear, and misses much. A better human makes time his ally. There is a moment for action, and with a clear mind, that moment is obvious.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
I ran until my muscles burned and my veins pumped battery acid.
More powerful than a locomotive.
An idea is like a virus. Resilient. Highly contagious.
Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Better Humanology Podcast. My name is Jared Moon, and with me, as always, is Talon Schwam. What's up, Talon?
What's up, Jared? Why do you still say that as always?
I just like saying it.
Just know it makes me feel good.
Makes you feel good. Makes me feel good. Well, I feel good because it's 2017.
Do you?
Yeah.
Does it feel good to be rid of 2016?
You know, I've been seeing like a lot of memes and people hating on 2016 because of like all the stuff, but I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good year. I'm not too focused on celebrity deaths and whatnot.
I think it was a great year for me. I mean, child was born and everything, but it felt like it lasted forever. It felt like it was about 4 years long to me.
Well, that's awesome. That's the young child talking there. talking
Yeah.
for you. Yeah, they seem to expand time.
Yeah.
But then it gets a lot quicker as they get older, in my experience.
Wow, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
What'd you do for your New Year?
Funny story. I did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I think I went to bed at like 8:30, getting ready for the new year. Literally did nothing.
You weren't live streaming some like crazy quadruple Murph or something for the New Year? I figured you'd be doing something wild.
I did Murph since it was Saturday. I did do Murph earlier in the day, but then no, I just chilled and went to bed early, man. I don't think I've stayed up for the official switching of the New Year's for
Oh, really?
like long time. Like long time.
I don't think I can remember if I've ever. I think there have been a couple times where I've been asleep for it, but I mean, I can't remember. It's been a long time.
It's exciting, man. But I mean, I'm pumped. I look out my window. I got like 6 new neighbors who picked up like walking or running.
All right.
It's cool. I get to see them. I've never seen them before in my life, but they're out there now, and I'm super excited. I want to like pounce on them, be like, "Hey, come work out at my house."
Yeah. Trying to get better. Check out this show.
I know of a show that makes you better, but let's get into the show.
All right.
It's been a while. I'm glad that we're back. We took a little break there at the end of the year.
Yep.
And I'm just fired up, man. I'm pumped to be back up on the podcast, bringing new challenges. I got a new little surprise for everybody I want to bring in. But let's start with your challenge.
My challenge first, right off the bat.
I would love to hear your challenge.
Good, because I think yours are going to be exciting and kind of happier. So mine's a little bit. It's a downer. Starting the year off with a downer, but it's kind of one of those like you break yourself down before you build yourself back up kind of things. You know, like people like anytime you go into like any of those like a training camp or you're trying out for a sports team or you're joining the military, whatever it is, they break you down first before they build you back up.
Yeah, it's a necessary part, necessary evil.
We're going to do that for probably about 20 minutes, and then so the whole of 2017 can be of just building up time.
Yeah,
right.
Normally negative things coming for you, so I'm
Right.
anxious to hear this one.
Okay, so what I want you guys to do it might be a little bit dark, is write your own obituary.
Oh, dude, I love that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I want you guys to do is you sit down and you be real with yourself and you write down what you've accomplished basically to date, what your life has been about to that date. And for some people, it's going to be like, maybe if you're on the tail end, it's going to be like, yeah, I've done a lot of great stuff. But for a lot of us, it's going to be like eye-opening about all the things we haven't accomplished that we want to accomplish. So after you finish, of course, I've always got these couple of things I want you to think about. Think about these 2 questions when you finish. One, if you died today, would your life be complete? Likely going to be no on that one. But And then number 2 is, if you died today, would your life be a success? And then, the answer is probably going to be no, but remember that there's still time, and there's none other than the promise of a new year. So 2017. Write your obituaries and figure out where you need to go to get where you need to be.
I think that's awesome. I really do. It is a little bit like, I don't think it's super down, but I mean, I love that. I've actually had someone challenge me to do that before.
Oh, really?
It's been a long time. I actually want to do it again and see. I didn't keep it, so I wouldn't have anything to compare it to. But yeah, I just think it's a great exercise.
Thanks. Yeah, it's something I've done before, and it opens your eye, especially the first time you do it.
All right. Before I get into my challenges or anything really, I want to
disclaimer.
Yeah, I want to tell you about an experiment I did over the little break.
What? You did an experiment without me?
Well, so to do a proper experiment, you have to have like a control or like
right.
something to compare it to.
Okay.
And I've been doing the morning routine for a long time now. Pretty extensive amount of time. I love it. Really sets my days off on the right track, all this other stuff. So we actually visited my in-laws up in New York it was a 12-day trip. So a pretty long time.
Right.
And, really these are just excuses. I could have found a way to make it work, but with the kids, how we were situated and being upstairs and just all sorts of crap, I couldn't successfully wake up early and do my morning routine without waking up like 3 other people.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Actually, for an experiment, I'm going to just cut out the morning routine for 12 full days and see what happens. See better human, worse human, what happens when Jared doesn't do...
Well, can you tell us your morning routine? Just like the layman's, the quick version, whatever, so we know how much you're giving up.
Yeah, so my morning routine takes just a little bit over an hour. And I do either box breathing or meditation, sometimes both. Okay. And then, so some of these are either or because it depends on the morning. So box breathing, meditation, then visualization or journaling, either or.
Wow. Impressed already.
And then reading, I'll listen to an audiobook on 2 or 3 times speed for at least 10 minutes.
Okay.
So just so I know a lot of people how could you read so much or whatever, but if I sit there in the morning, sometimes I listen to the book on 3 times speed. But I sit there in complete silence and do everything in my power to focus on what they're saying. And if you think about it, 10 minutes at 3 speeds, that's half an hour worth of listening that you got done in 10 minutes. And if you can do that every day, you should be finishing a book every 7 to 10 to max 14 days. So
wow. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, plus you're really working on your ability to focus all the time.
Yeah, and that's what I can't do 3 times speed if I'm we've talked about before, multitasking. If I'm driving, if I'm grocery shopping or driving or whatever, I can't handle 3 times. But if I'm sitting there 100% focused, I can handle it. Anyway, so I do that. I pray, and then I also do Ramwad or mobility work. So it's basically stretching, yoga type stuff.
Okay.
So that's my morning routine.
Sounds like a really healthy routine. Okay. So you got rid of that for 12 days.
It takes me about 60 to 65 minutes to knock it all out. Everything's pretty condensed, short. But anyway, yeah. Stop doing all that stuff for 12 days. Basically half a month. And definitely made me worse.
Yeah.
I was just so much more negative and just not myself and anxious, just a lot of bad things. And I don't know, I can't pinpoint which one of those things, because that's the main thing. If I cut out the stretching, mobility stuff, I'd be fine or whatever. But one of those other activities, really centers me somewhere along the line, and just really helps me be more positive and less anxious and better throughout the day. So I only bring that up because now I've been off, on for a long time, off for a short period of time, and now I'm I don't think I'll ever do that again. I'm gonna be back at it with my morning routine. So just want to share that, man. I did a worse human experiment. Basically, it wasn't a better human experiment.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome because you learned something about yourself. How you need to keep up. You need to keep on the grind, really, basically, or you start breaking up.
I mean, yeah, and it still could be the placebo effect. Like, I just feel like that
Perhaps.
makes me better, but we've talked about how awesome the placebo effect is, whether it's
Right.
fake or not, you know. It's an amazing thing. All right, so now I'll get to my challenges, knock these out. Fitness challenge this week. I actually want everyone to do something you and I have done, I know, multiple times. I want everyone to take the Air Force physical fitness test.
Ooh.
Minus the they normally do like body weight and stuff like that, but don't do that. It's pretty simple. You're gonna do 60 seconds max repetitions of push-ups, and then you're gonna do 60 seconds max repetitions of sit-ups, and then you're gonna run 1.5 miles for time. So rest as needed in between. But yeah, that's the Air Force PT test. You can look it up online, given your age and whatever, to see how you would score on those 3 factors.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I think it's fun. I always enjoyed it because having the max time just gives you opportunity to push yourself really, really hard.
yeah, you should be shooting for the maximums. All right, so my mental toughness challenge, I'm kind of throwing the gauntlet down here at the beginning of the year. I want everyone to pick a habit that they'd like to develop, and develop a habit for a year. That's my real challenge here, is to decide on something that you want to do and dedicate yourself to doing it for the next year, and to make it a keystone habit. Kind of like I was just talking about, me waking up early, I get like 6 different things done, and then it also makes my day better. So that's one habit that affects the rest of my life. So finding that keystone habit and instituting that in your life, that's my mental toughness challenge for everybody. But a new thing I want to throw in the podcast is talking about a habit that you could develop and give you a new one each month. And so this first one, if you're struggling on what kind of habit to develop, I would like for everyone to challenge everyone to get better sleep. So better quality and quantity. So whether that's going to bed 30 minutes earlier, sleeping in a darker room, cutting out the screen time before bed, all of these things that affect your sleep. Try to get better quality and quantity of sleep over the next month, and see how you feel.
But Jared, sleep's such a waste of time.
I feel that way. A lot of sleep is tough for me to do sometimes, but I know how good it is for me, so I get it done. All right, and then lastly, the book, pretty popular one. I'm actually surprised I haven't recommended it yet. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So that is the book recommendation, and it's pretty solid one, and all of the habits are, like, I concur, better human related.
Really?
Yeah. You want to know what they are?
Yeah.
All 7 habits?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go over them quickly, and then we can get into it. So, because I know anytime when I heard that title before I read it, I was like, well, what are the 7 habits? Maybe I'll read the book if you tell me.
That's your first question that comes to your head?
Yeah, like, it's 7 habits of highly effective people. It's like, okay, well, tell me what the habits are. Maybe I'll read your book.
My first question is, how's this guy know what a highly effective person is?
Yeah. There's
maybe I ought to read the book and find out.
Well, there's a lot of research into the book. You can find that out too. All right, number 1 is be proactive. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Number 3 is first things first, which broken down is really just making sure what's important to you is what you're actually putting first in your life, not like other people's priorities and whatnot. 4, think win-win. So any situation you get into with someone else, it doesn't have to be either or situation. Try to get in relationships and situations that it's a win for you and it's a win for them. Number 5, seek first to understand, then be understood. Just really talking about communication there. Like, try to understand the other person first before you just spout off, trying to get your point across and everything. Understand someone else first. 6 is synergy. We all know what synergy is, working with other people. And then 7 is sharpen the saw, which is basically just working on yourself, becoming better physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of those things. So those are the 7 habits of highly effective people, and I recommend it. It's a good book.
Those are some awesome habits. I really like the number 5. First to understand before you understood.
Yeah, it's a good book, man. I recommend it. And then lastly, before we hop into tonight's topic, I have one last announcement. If everyone will just listen for 5 more seconds. I'm doing a live presentation this coming week, this Thursday,
Whoop, whoop.
basically on nutrition. Keep it simple. On nutrition, you can go to into3fitness.com and you'll see links somewhere there to sign up for the live webinars, the live training. I'll actually be doing it live where I can answer people's questions and everything, going over dialing in your diet, how to count macros, and a lot of stuff. So it'll be about an hour and a half long. If you want to join me on Thursday, I'm doing one at 10 a.m. and one at 8 p.m. Both of them will be live. So feel free to join me if you're interested in that. But other than that,
Who wouldn't be trying to get more healthy with their eating?
I know, right? Everyone
Yeah.
should be.
I need to get there. It's no small secret, really, with this show.
All right, man, you ready?
I'm ready.
So tonight, I'm excited about our topic because if you need to master your nutrition, you need to master a new skill.
Is it a skill? Is nutrition a skill, would you say? See, maybe we should even define what skill is before you go off the deep end here.
You go ahead and define skill for me.
You want me to go ahead and define? Skill to me is probably an ability that you have that is better or more proficient in some way than the average person.
Yeah, so I would think nutrition can be a skill from that
Is
definition.
it an ability? Or
I think the
proficiency?
actual word nutrition, no, is not a skill because that's just, there's good nutrition, there's bad nutrition, there's average
Sure.
nutrition. But
Maybe your ability to make decisions on your
Right.
health when you're choosing foods is a skill.
right, yeah, like
Okay.
if
fair enough.
if I walk up to someone who's never been educated in nutrition whatsoever, and we're both told to go pick a healthy meal, out of the grocery store, we have 5 minutes to buy it. It might be a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you have more skill in that area. I see. Okay, fair enough. Fair point.
Yeah. So really, I wanted to talk about this because the beginning of the year, everyone wants to master new skills, right? Like get good at something. I see a lot of people actually saying that they want to learn a language, and I
saw that too.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't like to doubt people, but do you think anyone's actually going to learn a new language, like as a New Year's resolution?
I think none of the people that I've heard say that they want to learn a new language will probably stick with it, because what it takes to learn a new language is already so difficult. I mean, I think it's the most difficult thing, honestly, probably to put your brain through. I mean, it's to learn coursework and to memorize stuff is different than thinking in completely different concepts. Like because we think in our language, that's how we've been raised to think. And so when you're trying to learn a new language, you're trying to learn new ways to process information and to think. And as you get older, that becomes so hard. And some of these people that I've seen saying they want to learn a new language are, 30s, 40s, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
It's something like I read an article today that it was like 92% of people don't. Or let's go positive. 8% of people achieve their New Year's resolutions. So, I mean, that's a tough one. But learning a new
Do you have
skill.
a resolution?
I don't really do resolutions. I do. I
Okay.
mean, I set goals for the year, and we
Right.
kind of talked about that in the last episode. And I'm very gung ho about those goals and getting them achieved and making sure they're trackable and all that stuff. But no, I don't have like I'm going to be a better person this year or whatever. Like,
Right.
in setting one goal for the year, no, I don't. I guess the only wishy-washy resolution-ish type thing I have for this year is I want to play more racquetball. I want to get back
Okay.
into playing racquetball, but I have no plan for it whatsoever because I almost don't care either way.
Well, yeah.
Like I'm
The
like,
best way to stay away from that is to probably just not do resolutions.
right.
We'll,
Yes.
stay, we'll stay away from that metric entirely.
Yeah. So I don't really have resolutions. If I don't play racquetball at all this year, then I'm sure my year will still be just fine because my goals will still be what I'm actually after and want to achieve. But
Right.
if someone wanted to learn a new skill, what would you tell them to do? What would you say that they need to go through to master a new skill?
I would say make plans instead of resolutions.
Yeah, make goals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was kind of thinking about this show. I kind of broke it down in how I feel like, the basic way I would go about, trying to master a skill. And I feel like the first thing is you have to choose a skill the first thing is choosing what you want to master, right? And so you have to decide is it something that you already have a proficiency in? Is it something that's totally new that you've never even touched before? And I feel like that's a process that you have to go through first, because you have to really even find out how far you need to go to get to a level of mastery. Like say it's something for you. Say it's you want to be a master. You probably mastered every, I don't know, lifting exercise. But let's say the bench press. You want to be a master at the bench press, right? Maybe you have to increase your weights that you lift right now by X amount of pounds. You have to know where you're at right now. So what level is a master? And all those kinds of things. So that's kind of what goes through my head is like, okay, I got to answer all these questions first before I even decide what am I going to do to try and, master a skill.
Yeah, what comes to mind when I'm thinking about the first thing that comes to mind is, and you know this because the military, I'd say, taught me this principle of like everyone's trainable. Like everyone's trainable. Like it doesn't matter. Like I don't think a lot of people know this, but I'll give pilot training example. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same in Intel, but there's there's no qualification in becoming a pilot. Like there's no degree. Like you don't need a certain degree
Right.
to be selected for pilot. Yes, you have to have good grades, and yes, you have to score good on a few tests that say that you have like a pilot aptitude. But like really, almost anyone, with studying for an hour would have some sort of pilot aptitude or whatever. So the only reason I bring that up is because it only actually matters once you get to pilot training. Training for your job, and you have everyone there. You have guys who, were engineers, physicists, and then you have guys who were history majors and, business majors, and they all get thrown into this one training, and they're training to fly the fastest, most badass planes on the planet. And most of them succeed. It's not like it's not Navy SEAL training where the Air Force kind of does the opposite of Navy SEAL. Navy SEALs try to go high retention or high attrition, right? And then the Air Force tries to mitigate that as much as possible because pilots cost so much to train. So they want everyone. They really do want everyone to succeed in getting their wings and becoming a pilot. And I only bring this all up is because I think most people are like, oh, you have to be an engineer to do do the pilot thing, or you have to go to the Air Force Academy, and none of that stuff's true because everyone's trainable. Like they can, if you have the right coursework or dedication, should I say, really, you can achieve it. And I think that was such a big mind shift for me back in the day because I was like, really, like they can teach anybody how to do this. Like there's no like special aptitude. Like maybe some hand-eye coordination would help, but like really they can teach anyone to do it. So I think the first thing that I think someone should realize if they want to master a new skill is there's no reason you can't do it. Like there's absolutely no reason you can't do it because anyone can be trained to do anything basically, unless you have some sort of learning disability, which I don't think, we talked about learning styles a while back. Like if you know how you learn, that's going to really play into your strengths for developing a new skill and knowing how you should learn things.
That's true. I think you make a fantastic point. I think realizing that it's possible to accomplish what you want to accomplish should give you a lot of confidence. And the example that Jared just told, that you just told in your story, man, I think that's a perfect example of how it really is about what you do to get to where that, you need to be with that skill, or you get to where you want to accomplish. not, what you already have inside you, because you have the capability already. So it should give you a lot of confidence. So, I mean, while we're talking about this process of trying to master a skill, I mean, Jared threw out some words like dedication, and I had that written down, something I want to talk about too. And it's not going to be something that's easy, and we're going to probably talk about a lot of things that's going to be difficult about accomplishing a new skill, but realize that you have the ability in that, just in the kind of examples that Jared talked about, that kind of thing should give you a lot of confidence for accomplishing what you want to.
And so once you have that confidence, you realize that, okay, this is possible, you believe it. And I think really that I think that gets glossed over too many times and too often by too many people, is just this, oh yeah, I believe it, I believe I can do it. But I'm starting to personally believe more and more that my belief in my ability, not just like confidence, like, hey honey, like, tell me something good about myself where I feel more confident. Not that BS. I'm talking about like an internal belief that you can achieve something makes a huge difference. And like I really myself used to probably like deflect that a little bit. Like even though I'm a very confident person, I never really put any time or weight or effort into like really internalizing like, no, like this is really possible and like it can be achieved quite easily. So not to beat a dead horse there anymore, but I think that the next point is, if you're coming up to a new skill, there's going to be like an awful learning curve, no matter what it is. And I actually wrote in my notes that I despise learning curves. I absolutely hate them. And I don't hate them because I have to learn something new. So if you're unfamiliar with the learning curve, it's essentially just like this, you have a really steep curve to learn like a new skill. And then once you kind of get over that hump, it goes, back down almost like a bell curve. And then you kind of have mastered that skill, or at least you're proficient in that skill. And that upward slope of learning, that steep learning curve, I hate it. Because I want to be on the other side so badly that I really, really hate learning curves. And so what I typically do when I'm learning a new skill is just, I don't dabble. No dabbling whatsoever. It's full on, like full immersion, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Like if I really want to master a new skill, not like, you know what, I want to get a little bit better this year. Like I want to master this skill this year. It's full immersion. Like if it's something I can listen to, I'm listening to it every single day. Like if it's something I can practice, I'm practicing as much as I can every single day until I beat the shit out of the learning curve, basically. I hate the learning curve, and anything I want to get good at, that's my approach. Don't dabble, full immersion, F the learning curve.
Man, of course I should have known better, right? I should have known what to expect out of Jared. Yeah, because if that's what you're going to do in this year is master a goal, and that's the way you need to approach it. For me, it was like, so if this is the level of mastery that I need to get to, then this is the amount of time it probably should take to get to where I'm at from here to there, and then set that as a goal. So really, like, that's things we've talked about probably all through the season and the show. And it's for me, it's about planning and then executing, of course, what it comes down to. But something that I think we've talked about before, probably early in season 1, is how I try and like live in like a feeling of success all the time. I don't know if it's inherent or something I developed along the way, and I feel like accomplishing a goal helps you kind of live in that feeling of success, even if you're whatever skill you're trying to get better at, to master. I mean, even if you're failing at that every day, like say you're practicing and you're trying to become a master racquetball player. You mentioned being a racquetball player, and you're losing games every day to people who aren't that good. Every day you're getting crushed. I still feel like that situation where you're playing every day, so you're getting better. You're getting yourself out there every day, and you're probably competing in some of those games, even if you're losing. And those are small things that take little bits of happiness, little bits of success from, to keep pushing you on the grind. Because if it's something that you're going to spend a year or two doing and dedicating as much time as you can every day, then it want to be something that you feel good about doing when you go to do it. So if you're feeling like, man, I suck at this, I have to go do it because I want to get better, but I'm not having any fun, then you probably won't reach your goal. You're probably going to fall off at some point, where you're going to stop progressing because your heart's not into it. And so I think that's another thing to remember as well, is to kind of just bask in a little bit of success that you have with the journey as getting a little bit better every day.
It's that growth mindset versus that fixed mindset that we have discussed on the podcast before. It's almost like finding the silver lining, and just to go back to racquetball as the example, because I think it's funny, when I first started playing, when I was trying to get better, there was this one dude who was just like hot shit, like the best racquetball player, in the club or whatever. And so me and my friends would play him. And our measure of success was like if we scored a point. and we were actually happy about it. Like, and you played a 15 in racquetball, and it was just like, yeah, dude, I scored one. I scored 1 point on the, and he knew it'd be a big deal too. So it's just we never walked out off the court if we scored a point against him as a loser. In our own mind, we're like, hell yeah, got a point on you. See? We'd even kind of rub it in, even though he like just dominated you. He'd be like, got a point on you. How does that feel?
That's awesome. It reminds me, have you seen, there's this YouTube video that's been going around recently. It's like this guy played ping pong or table tennis like for a year, and it shows him playing like it's like 1 second or 2 seconds every day, and it shows him starting, he can like barely even like hit the ball over the net, and he's like really struggling to serve, and it goes through all the way at the very end, he's like playing in like China or Japan, like the world championships, and he's like dominating guys who are like, back there like 6 feet from behind the ping pong table, like just swinging like wildly, hitting the ball. It was crazy. So this kind of thing reminds me of that. It's like he shows how you can go from awful, terrible, crap to turning into something that's really awesome, that's competing on a world level.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I wanted to bring this up because if we're talking about skills, I have to bring up fitness just for one second, because there are a lot of skills in the fitness world that athletes ask me about all the time, and things like like Olympic lifting is a skill, a little more skill. Everything has a little bit of skill in it, but people are really talking about, can you do like double unders? Can you do muscle ups, handstand push ups, walking on your hands, things like that? Those are the quote unquote skills, and I want to bring up this point because I think it makes a larger point to getting better at something. Like a lot of people will come to me and say, help me with the muscle up or help me with the handstand push up. They feel like they don't have the skill, but it's not that they don't have the skill. It's that they don't have the strength. They're not strong enough to do the skill. And that 9 times out of 10, that's the case. You might very well be on like right on the cusp. Like you just need just like a 1% stronger and you're there. But it's going to be strength first. You have to have this enormous base before you can do any of those skills. Other than like the double under, it just takes. If you can't do a double under, you need to lock yourself in your garage and just practice for 30 minutes a day until you can. That one's that simple.
The jump rope you're talking about?
Yeah, so the jump rope passes under your feet 2 times.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Talon. I didn't know I was putting too much jargon
getting all up in the lingo here for me.
well, anyway, so some of those things are just straight practice, but all those other things is you just don't have the strength yet. So let's not practice handstand push-ups over and over again. No, let's not practice muscle-ups over and over again. Yeah, there's skills and drills for that, but get stronger first. I see all these people putting out videos for these parlor tricks, like how to get better at this stuff, and like all these little techniques and
shortcuts.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you just need to get stronger. Unfortunately, yes, that could take in some cases. Like if you can't do a pull-up and you want me to teach you the skill of a pull-up, no, you need to work on strength for 6 months, and I guarantee you can do a pull-up after you're stronger. And I bring all of that up because, one, I want people to know that. Most of the time, you're just not strong enough, and that's okay because it's pretty easy to get stronger. But 2, I feel like that's the same with developing almost any skill. Is there's something bigger behind learning something new that you might not be focused on. Like we talked about kind of at the beginning, maybe you can't learn the guitar from a YouTube video because you're not a visual learner. It's not that you suck at the guitar. Maybe you need, someone to instruct you or move your hands along the chords or something like that. Maybe you need to focus on your learning style to actually get better at what you want to do, as opposed to just the skill itself. Learning how you learn might be something that you need to do, or there might be just a specific chunk that you need to focus on, because I know in fitness I focus on for a long time is the 80-20 rule, which is the pair 2 principle, where it's 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. So it's are you familiar with that, the 80-20 rule?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard it usually used about people in a team.
Yeah, so it's a pair 2 principle. Pair 2 is like some economist, and yeah, he developed it by noticing that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the people, or something like that. And that's true in like almost everything. Like I wrote an article on that a while back, and I actually started to look at things. It's like, okay, 80% of my website traffic at Into 3 Fitness comes from 20% of the articles that I've written. It's not like evenly distributed. It really works out in a lot of ways. And when you try to apply that to training, that's why I'm so focused on like barbell training, interval training, and stuff like that, is because I kept getting rid of all the crap to focus on just the things that are going to, make the biggest impact. So going back to that, you need to be stronger first, or you need to learn the real problem behind it is this, maybe you need to find that 20% that you should be focusing on. Maybe that's what's going to move the needle and take you from, just dabbling to mastery.
I think you also bring up that maybe if somebody's skill was they want to be able to do handstand push-ups, that the road to getting to do that probably requires a lot of things other than doing handstand push-ups, right? Because like you said, they're not strong enough yet. So it probably requires doing a lot of exercises that maybe you're not that interested in doing. Maybe a lot of exercises that you've done for a long time you're not that excited about. So probably something that could get boring over time. That's something that for me is also kind of a conundrum about getting skills or working on something or trying to accomplish a certain goal. It's about, it takes so much of your time, so much of your energy and effort, that it's kind of a balance between, what's going to feel boring because you've been doing it so many times and it's repetitive, versus, what's uncomfortable because it's so difficult maybe, or something so new to you. And so it's kind of trying to balance both of those at the same time without like letting it, or choosing something that's so difficult or so impossible that you could never do. Like, I know I've watched this TED Talk about this woman that swam from, I think it was Puerto Rico to Florida.
Wow.
Or Cuba to Florida. She swam from Cuba to Florida. And I was like, she just swam there like overnight. It was the craziest thing. I'm like, okay, that's something that probably at my point in my life and the amount of training that I'm willing to do for that, it's not possible, right? So that's something for me that it's too uncomfortable over there. But I wouldn't be doing something that's so boring as to like get a new skill as crocheting, because even though I could do that, it's something that would be so boring that I would never actually achieve mastery at that skill, right? So it's kind of finding a balance between those two things as well.
Are you talking about for selecting the skill that you want to get better at, or are you talking about the activities you need to do to get better at the skill?
Both, man. Yeah, both. Honestly, yeah. I mean, because like I said, with the example you used, there are probably lots of different examples out there where you have to do things that aren't really the end goal. They aren't really the skill that you want at the end to achieve, the success.
Gotcha.
To get the skill.
I agree with that 147%. Even going back to the fitness example, because that is what frustrates me is, you wanna get the muscle up. So okay, let's get on the rings and maybe we'll add a band and do all this other BS. Really, when you might need to be something that involves a barbell to get stronger, not the rings. And to bring a personal example, when I first started working out a long time ago, we were in the gym. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was like, oh, I saw a guy doing a pull up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do a pull up. That looks cool. And I hang from the bar. I couldn't do a pull up. I just couldn't do it. It was not possible, and it was really embarrassing because like 3 other guys were standing there and they knew what I was trying to do, because I'm like, like squirming around, like, I think you get a little bit, like you get the arms bent a little. You just can't get your chin up to the bar.
I wish I could have seen that.
It's very, very clear what I was trying to do and that I failed. So shot my confidence, like, oh, okay, you can't do a pull-up. Great. So I didn't try a pull-up again, honestly, for like, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it had to have been between like 4 and 6 months. I just didn't try it. Not even like, I didn't do some sort of progression of like, okay, I'm going to do half pull-ups and then this and that. I like literally did not touch a pull-up bar for 4 to 6 months. And I did what you're saying. I did everything else. I did lat pull downs. I did bicep curls. I did all of these other things that aren't as cool as just like practicing the pull-up all over, over and over again. But by the time I got to the pull-up bar 6 months later, yeah, I could do like 10 pull-ups. It was, it wasn't a factor. It was, I could do pull-ups now, and pull-ups have been there for me ever since then, so I really do agree with what you're saying is you really got to focus on a lot of other things aside from the skill itself to get better.
What do you think your hardest skill that you've had to master is?
That's a good question. Like technical
if you want
skill?
time to think about it a little bit, I think I know mine. If you want,
I'd love to hear yours.
So for mine, I think you hit on it earlier, and it made me really kind of reflect for a second. Is I think the skill that I've developed the most in myself, and that's been the hardest for me to develop, is belief. And I know it sounds a little weird at first, and it's because I've got to this point where I expect success in myself. So I have a lot of belief in myself. I have a lot of expectation that I'm going to succeed, and that when I try to do something, or if I try to learn a new skill, or if I try to, get this job or run for this office or beat this challenge or finish this workout, that I'm going to do it. And that's taken a lot to develop that into where I expect to be able to achieve things. But at the same time, it comes with this double-edged kind of sword where I'm able to mitigate the damage of failure and loss. And I feel like that's a really hard thing to have coupled together, a skill for me to have done, because I feel like I'm always in a situation where I have a positive outlook on myself, and I'm never like bashing myself or, just wallowing. I'm always looking for, how to maybe accomplish the goal a different way, or how can I get there this way, or what do I need to do? What can I plan? Because I'm expecting to succeed. So when I hit a failure, I'm expecting the next one is going to be a success. I hit 3 failures, I'm expecting the next one's still going to be a success. It's like a really good basketball shooter. It's like, you might miss the first 15 shots, but it's the game's on the line. There's 3 seconds left. You're still taking that 16th shot because it's going in.
Yeah, and if the 80-20 rule fits, and becomes law, and, you should expect that 80% of whatever you do is going to be failure. And
right.
It's going to be 20% of the causes that result in 80% of the results. So
good point.
It's you should expect that. There's going to be a lot of failure on your way to success, and that's.
But even just you bringing that up brings the point. Like, you can expect success to come, even if it's only 20% of the time. You can expect it to come, and you can expect failure to be there as well. So neither one of them should make you that distraught or that high. So you're always kind of working for the next thing to accomplish or learn.
And then I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but my greatest fear is that I'm focusing on the wrong. I could be focusing on the wrong thing, because you will achieve whatever you're working on, but it's just like I hope I've set my goals in the right place. But yeah, I thought about it a little bit to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah.
I honestly think that the hardest skill for me to develop, and it's taken a long time, is, you could probably guess it, but discipline.
Okay, that's a good
discipline in general, because I always thought, maybe this makes me weird from the start, but I always thought like this disciplined was like cool, like when a human being could be like a machine, like super routined, and like like Rocky Balboa, like. Doing all these hard things.
Those montages,
Yeah, I always found that really impressive. And I'm sure if I mention Rocky specifically, I'm sure a lot of people found stuff like that impressive. But anytime, really, if someone could be like a machine, they woke up at the same time every day, they did this, and they were just seeing a ton of results, I always admired that. And I thought that was cool. And I was like, I want to be like that. But I realized probably over the course of like over a decade, really, that like you can't just in a way you can, but you can't just decide to be that. Like you can't just like wake up one day and then like you're 100% disciplined in all areas of your life and just like let's move forward. It
doesn't just click.
No, it takes a shit ton of work, a lot of failure because I've been the guy who set the goal at the beginning of the year and then forgot about it, and then it's like, oh shit, I'm not that guy anymore. It took a long time for me to not be that guy. I've been the guy who, it's like, okay, I'm setting the alarm early, going to wake up early. I'm going to start this morning routine thing, and then, I don't. I've been that guy. It's been a while since I've been that guy, but I've been that guy.
You've been that guy for the last 12 days.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
I really do hate that version of myself, but I'm just saying the discipline is a pain, but I do feel like once you get it, you got it. It's a little bit, as long as you maintain it. It's
priceless.
Getting back into my routine post those 12 days with my family has been more challenging than it was previously. Not like I'm not skipping any days or anything like that, just more challenging than normal.
Just not used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, definitely discipline. The hardest thing I've had to develop.
I think that makes sense because it's probably a big reason why you've been able to accomplish as much as you have, and a big reason why you continue to get better. It's because you're disciplined about how you do it.
I do like discipline.
Well, I think most of us know that.
All right, man. So the last thing I really have written down here, I don't know if you have any other major points.
No major points at all. No.
The last thing, so we've talked about shortening the learning curve, the 80-20 rule, being dedicated, focusing on skills that may not be the skill that you're trying to develop, all sorts of things. But the last thing I want to point out is taking space from your skill, like taking space from it, whether that's planned breaks, going micro into a day, or like say you had a session to practice that skill, having that planned break, having a legitimate break. Every couple weeks you take, a few days off. But then another one is going back to the sleep I brought up at the beginning. There's Harvard, has done a ton of research on this, and I like reading some of their studies. I think it's hilarious that really we as humans have no idea really what sleep does. Like, we kind of know. There's a lot of correlative data, but nothing's like concrete. We're like, we're pretty sure that in the, your second, phase of sleep during the night is when your brain, goes through the events of the day and logs it as memory, but we don't know for sure. It's just like we can't get that stuff, but there is a ton of correlative data saying that getting really good quality sleep and, good quantity helps you learn better. It helps you retain more. That's why all-nighters don't normally work out for people too well, versus having like studied a lot and then getting a good night's rest and then taking the test or whatever. So I will just say that's the last thing is if you're trying to master anything, it can't be gas pedal all the time. It has to be you have to take space for it to really sink in and let it develop and get in the subconscious and kind of roll around.
I think it makes sense to me. I think it's hard for me to hear it coming from you after you just talking about how you would, every second that you had, you'd be working on it.
Well, it's balance, man. It's
yeah, it is. I guess it's being mature about it and deciding, I still want to use as much time as I possibly can, but I have to be smart and I have to plan out so I don't burn out, really.
Well, yeah, that's because if I have that thought in my head, if I'm trying to learn something new, I'm like, pedal to the metal. Let's learn it. Let's kill this learning curve. I want to own this. But then I know, I'll have to stop at some point. I'm like, okay, you stopping now. I mean, you've probably seen it in basketball. I don't, if you're practicing maybe just free throw or a 3-point or, whatever, have you ever been practicing so much that you actually start to get worse? Has that ever happened? In a single session?
Yeah.
Not in a single session, not overtime.
Sure.
Because I've had that happen in racquetball. Anything I'm Olympic lifting, all sorts of things. If I'm if I did, say I did 10, he was like, okay, that was a good amount. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do 50. And then like maybe some of them are good, but then it's like, my percentages are getting a little further off here. It's like your body's getting tired. You're not as focused. Whatever you did learn, new technique you were trying out, it has to sink in. You don't have the muscle memory yet. All that stuff. So
this is a good analogy because you're saying that applies to the overall. Like you're saying that applies to the big picture. Like you're working on stuff and you don't know you might be getting worse because you're so deep into it.
Right. That's why you got to take that space and get some sleep. That's all I'm trying to say.
Hey, one last thing on these. Have you heard of people having near-death experiences and coming back with like crazy skills?
Never.
Like near-death experience somebody had, and they come back and be able to like play the piano like Mozart or something like that.
No, I haven't.
All right. Well,
Have you?
Never mind. I'll leave that for another show.
Well, maybe. Well, no, I was gonna say we could experiment that one, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be willing to do that.
What skill would I come back with? Would it be worth it? Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. That's all we got this week.
Thanks.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best.